following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
The Nostalgia Funhouse proudly dedicates all episodes in the loving memory of Connie Chirac. So, Johnny, I've been hearing really great things about this Nostalgia Funhouse. It just brings back so many great memories.
Andrew, the only reason I'm moving in line with you here is that you really vouched for this show. So I'm just going to believe you that this is the show that I've been wanting, which is just talking about all the fun stuff from our yesteryear and the years before. And I really hate anything meta, so I'm glad that what we're doing right now is not that.
Oh, no, definitely. What is meta? Isn't that Ron Artest's new name?
Well, add World and Peace to it, sure.
Yeah, but this is great. They, last year they were tearing play sets and Halloween costumes.
Well, that sounds cool.
They get these weird court recordings from pop culture courts.
Does anybody care about court cases?
These ones are kind of cool. They put Scott Kelvin on trial. Poor old Santa Claus there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, man. You know what's the best part about this is, though? Is I hear they always got a really great sponsor. You can check it out right there.
Remember, Harry, it's Marion's first holiday turkey, not a word if it's dry.
It's her first turkey.
It won't be juicy.
What they don't know is Marion's first turkey is America's first turkey, Butterball. It's always juicy because it's specially deep basted, so every slice is moist and tender.
Juicy turkey, Marion.
I knew it would be.
After all, it's Butterball, also available fresh.
We're Beatrice.
Hello and welcome to the Nostalgia Thankful House. That's right, Thankful House. Andrew and I'm Johnny. We are here in this month of giving thanks, and we got a special one for everybody today, don't we, Andrew?
We do. We get Savage. We get an actor with a parody act with the parody of the actor.
Yeah.
What was the other thing that we figured out that we got? Because all these episodes tie into each other.
Yeah, we're
Except
doing
for the Simpsons one.
Yeah, so we're doing Thanksgiving themed episodes of TV shows, and what we did is we each set out. We didn't talk to each other for this.
No.
To do 3 different episodes of any TV show we wanted, as long as it was nostalgic, obviously.
Yep.
And when we gave each other our list, we realized there's all these connections. Sally Struthers shows up twice.
Yes.
Both
of the Savage brothers, Fred and
we're getting a lot of
Corey
Savage.
Matthews, his real name. What is his real name?
Ben
Savage. There you go.
Yeah, we get the Savage Bros.
Of the Savage brothers.
We get the Savage Bros. And we both picked the same Simpsons episode.
Yes, because I think it's probably the most iconic Thanksgiving Simpsons episode that there is.
So we're going to go through them and we're going to talk about them. I suggest we do because we're going to be 5 because we have the same one. So I say we do the Simpsons ones last, since that's one we both had picked.
Okay, that's the one I got last on my list, anyways.
Yeah, same here. So we can. It doesn't matter to me. We can go back and forth, alternate.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I can go first. Let's do South Park, because I'm very curious what you said about this. South Park season 1, a very famous episode, Starvin' Marvin.
Yep.
The gist of it is the boys see this commercial on television, and it's Sally Struthers. That's our first appearance.
That's our
a very heavy Sally Struthers. Which I looked into her today, by the way. I was I'm just curious. She's still still getting work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she's doing pretty well. Much better than what the South Park thought she was doing. But it's one of those parodies of those commercials that you always see of hey, you gotta help feed the starving people of a different country, that type of thing.
Starvin' Marvin's. And
that's where Starvin' Marvin kind of comes from. But the boys want this watch, and if you donate money to the cause, they'll send you this watch. Well, guess what? Some shenanigans happen, and they get Starving Marvin instead of the watch. And that's where all the fun comes. And this all happens, of course, on Thanksgiving. So this is our Thanksgiving episode.
And the
Very
turkeys,
what was that?
genetically engineered turkeys.
Yes, and you got these turkeys going amok through South Park. So that's this episode. I was telling you, Andrew, I've been rewatching South Park. I'm still in the first season, and I forgot like how many of the ones are just nostalgic to me as I'm watching them. And again, I want to bring this up again. They're on Max, and they really cleaned the heck out of these up. They look really good.
Yeah,
Like visually, they look really good.
they look good, but going back and watching the first season of South Park and even this, I know you gotta walk before you can run and everything else. But
Well, they
these
don't really run on South Park. They kind of
jostle.
yeah. Yeah.
Scutter.
That's a good word.
I know, and people might hate this, but comparing like the first season to like the newer seasons, like these suck to me. Like they don't.
Wow,
have-
I'm the other way around.
They don't have that same. I don't know, South Park magic. I feel like these later episodes do, where it's
Wow.
very.
I kind of think the newer ones are. I'm talking ones from like the last couple of years are sort of losing a bit of their soul.
Oh, see, I like those.
I still
know
watch
it's,
them.
I know
They're
it's
still
very
good.
Randy heavy and everything else, but
And I like Randy as a character. Yeah.
I just
Sometimes I feel Randy.
I don't know. I think I like it how they kind of do make fun of America in this one too, but it's just funny how they make fun of different things that are happening in the news.
Yeah, they're very. You can tell they're right on the week of. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, like this one, it was like okay, but I didn't feel like it kept my attention. And I was excited when you were like, "Oh, Starving Marvin." I was like, "Cool." I remember this. I was like in the ninth grade. Yeah, ninth grade.
Yeah, we were in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, when this came out, and I watched it. I thought it was great. We all went to school, talked about Starving Marvin. Now I'm like, nah, not as good as what I thought it used.
Here's what happened to me while I was watching this. There's another episode in the near future where Starving Marvin shows up again, and Sally Struthers actually kind of becomes the good guy.
Is that the one where she's Jabba? Like just
Yes.
they just
Yes.
make her straight Jabba the Hutt.
Yes, and she sort of saves the day actually. And there's because the Christians, the Christians are out trying to convert everybody, and Sally Struthers kind of saves the day.
So it's kind of like the other Easter Bunny episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, yes, in a way. Yeah. So I kept halfway waiting for some Christians to show up, and they never do on this one. This is the very first one. I mean, obviously you didn't like this one, but I did. So
it was.
I want to give a spoiler alert. Everything I watched for this episode for our show, I liked.
I mean, I didn't like hate, but it just, I don't know. It doesn't. I like the newer South Parks over the older ones. Like this first season is very, I don't want to say crude.
No, it is crude. I think they admit that themselves, I believe.
Yeah, not like,
Right.
but not like crude in the writing. Just I don't even know. It's just very primitive. And I get it was like the first season where like you get into the other ones, it gets a little bit more. I don't know. I think in the other ones, it gets a little bit more thought provoking about things. Maybe because I'm older and I'm not just looking for, like, say the gag and everything. I mean, it was good. Like if I had to grade it, it's like a C. But I don't
That's
think I'd
so
ever.
low.
I would not go back and watch any of this.
This is that was Han Solo of a score. I do not care for that score. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, but I have a lot of nostalgia for South Park, especially these early seasons. That might be like one of the first TV series seasons I ever bought of something was South Park. So
Yeah, see, I like it, but I don't know. I like the older stuff better.
You mean newer stuff better? Yeah.
Or newer stuff, yeah, newer stuff better. It's just the
I
older
do like I
stuff
do like
doesn't.
some of the newer stuff because I remember when Randy was Lord. I really liked those episodes. It was very fun. I really didn't care for the Integrity Farm stuff. Like it got very old to me very quick.
It did. It did. I'm not the last special that came out. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like everything. The new one that what is that? I can't even say it. I want to say Opa, but that's a Greek thing. Op Ozempic or whatever, the weight loss thing.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like that one that much. I was like, this is kind of boring. But all the other ones were, I
All
thought,
the specials have been pretty good, except for that one. I think.
yeah.
I give this a very solid A. I thought it was very good.
Mm.
I have a lot of nostalgia for it. That might be part of my score here, but yeah.
See.
But I can't say that your criticisms are wrong because I understand where you're coming from. It is compared to newer episodes, much more crude in a way.
Yeah.
Much more. I don't know if crude's the word. Maybe
I do. Yeah. See.
there's less sides to it.
Yeah. It's very.
And the newer episodes of South Park, there's like 8 different storylines going on at once. It seems like.
Yeah, and then also, I don't know, the Cartman thing. Maybe because it was done so much. So I think this is why Matt and I get along. When people start enjoying things way too much, like a phrase or something,
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
We shut down. We're like, we don't care. So everybody in the world used to do now. Okay, that's my whatever, my
papa, yeah.
Yeah, or like with the whole Star. And every time I hear that now, it's just kind of like, ugh, because I
for
can
me,
just picture everybody saying it.
For me, South Park really hits its stride once Butters becomes a main character, one of the main characters.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big Butters guy. I love Butters.
Oh, my son has a Butters hoodie.
Oh, there you go. Because Butters is my favorite. He's
yeah,
my favorite.
I love Butters too.
Yeah. So that we agree on. Butters is a goat.
Butters is an S tier character, right?
Yeah,
there.
Agreed. Yes, agreed. All right. Which one of yours do you want to do next?
Let's go with All in the Family. The Little Atheist. It's very so pretty much the premises of the show is if you ever seen All in the Family, it's a show that definitely would not exist today. Archer,
I don't know. South Park exists today, and I kind of feel like
and Cartman is based on Archie Bunker.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you've never seen All in the Family, it is an amazing series. I've watched every episode that they did not ban off of TV.
Yeah.
There is a couple. But it's pretty much what it is. It's about a family. Archie Bunker is just an old man set in his ways. And a lot of people
what's the word? It's like a curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon, yeah.
Yeah, curmudgeon. Yeah. He really I think everybody has a family member that he will remind you of.
Yeah. Where I kind of empathize with him because a lot of stuff in the world changes and it's not, and you're like, why can't it just be the way? And I understand, like, if you watch it, you're like, oh my goodness, he's a racist bigot. But that's how the world was.
But also the reason this show works is he gets called out on that all the time.
Oh yeah, he gets called out on it. His wife Edith, if you watch this, has one of the greatest character developments I've ever seen.
That's the reason the show for me works. If it was just him being like that with no checks or balances to it, I don't think I could get into the show as much. But the fact of the matter is, he is juxtaposed with other characters who will put him in check all the time.
Yes.
And that's why the show works.
And constantly fighting with his son-in-law, Mike Stivic, aka Meathead. And it's a classic thing of what's going on today. Archie, you could say, is the right wing. Mike is the left wing, so they fight over on different things. So pretty much this episode is they're going over to Mike and Gloria's house for Thanksgiving. Gloria is pregnant with...
Who plays Gloria?
Oh, Sally Struthers.
That's right.
The real one.
Yeah.
She looks good in this show.
Yes. Yeah. She does. Very attractive.
But so and the fight happens, Gloria's pregnant and they're talking And Edith starts talking about all the things that she gets to do with her grandson, aka Joey, when he gets born. You know, do this and that, and then she mentions taking him to church. And they say, "Oh no, Mike says, no, you can't do that. We don't want him to go to church. We want him to make up his own decision about religion and stuff like that."
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of like one of these things today in a way where you got two people butting heads.
Right? That's fair. It's your kid.
Yeah.
I get it. It's your kid. For me, what happened for me is my parents, I think, would 100% let me decide them on.
Yeah.
But my grandparents, who were heavily into church, were Mennonites, like I said, and they would say, "Hey, let's." And I said I would go. I love my grandparents, love spending time with them. So I went to church with them one Sunday, and it just clicked for me. So I did get to decide myself. But that's sort of the contention here is the son-in-law's an atheist, doesn't believe. But for Archie, this is all very real, right? Like he's trying to basically he's trying to save his grandson's soul in a way. Yeah.
And so it's just pretty much a fight over that. And then towards the end, Archie, as Archie left the house many times,
yes.
You know, at the end of it, he just realizes that he's going to have a grandson. And there's going to be many other things that he's going to do with his grandson. And for him to be so stubborn to leave and everything else, he's going to miss out on those things, those other things with his grandson.
Yeah.
And you can see later. There is an episode, I can't remember if it's his kid or another kid, where he does take to go get the kid baptized. Feels the kid, but that's a different episode than this. But that's pretty much the gist of it. It was of just things are changing. You got to compromise on things, and it's not always going to be your way.
It feels like a very realistic family Thanksgiving dinner. It really did. Like where you always have, there's always somebody who's got one way of thinking in the family, and somebody has another way of thinking in the family. And sometimes when you get together, that stuff makes things awkward for everybody else.
Yes. And then it just turns into one big fight. But
so I thought they felt like out of all the stuff we watched for this, for the actual Thanksgiving dinner, this one felt the most realistic.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they still got together as a family and ate as a family at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what's important. Now, I wanted to bring this up. It had been a long time since I'd watched an episode of this show. First of all, that the intro song is just iconic with them two singing it.
Yeah.
And Edith just has the perfect cartoon voice. Like if she did cartoon voiceover work, it's perfect for that stuff.
Edith is amazing. Like I said, if you ever want to just sit down and watch a TV series and then watch a growth of a character, it's Edith Bunker is right up there with just amazing growth and the changes. You may not see it, but you see it from like this very submissive housewife to a woman that's like, you know what? I don't always need to be under Archie's foot there. I mean,
she literally grabs his ear to tell him to shut up, basically. In this.
Yeah.
I also, this is one of my notes. Archie was breaking the fourth wall. So move over, Deadpool.
My favorite thing was in the beginning when he was just like getting like dressed like a kind of, you know, this is 1975. I want to say this episode aired. So, you know, he's getting dressed up more than what we do now. I would have to go out somewhere.
I've never put on a suit to go to Thanksgiving dinner.
No, but Edith makes him put on a suit, and his line is, "I don't think the bird can tell the difference, Edith." But Edith wants to make it special because it's Gloria's first Thanksgiving that she's doing herself.
Yeah, and she's as pregnant can be.
Yes,
I think she's like 8 months or something like that.
Yep, not as big as South Park made her though.
No, nowhere near. Nowhere near that. What grade are you giving this?
Uh, I liked it. Is it like you're right about? I'll give it a B plus.
Oh, see, I'm giving this an A. I thought it was very solid, very enjoyable. I like that it felt realistic in that while Archie sort of like you said saw what he was doing, he doesn't like I don't feel he's going to be any different. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
changed, but he didn't change, which feels really realistic to me.
What I can tell about Archie is that, like I said, he's a guy that grew up in a very crude time in America.
Yeah,
Okay. Even more than what was going on there now. Things were this way, things were that way. We're not going to change. They're not going to change. And then he starts seeing, as in like the 70s and everything else, there is a big change in America.
yeah.
And I,
He's also one of those guys who, if you just kind of know him, he seems to have like a rough outer shell in a
oh,
way,
but he's,
but like inside, like just look at if you will see this episode the way he is with his daughter, right?
yes.
But like this is why this reminds me of Grandpa Townsend so hardcore. Like he was sort of like this, where if you didn't know him, you might think, man, this guy kind of tough to deal with. But like I had many instances in my life where like he was like the really quick to help, that type of thing, and like just making him like hearing him laugh was a huge deal for me. You know what I mean? Like if I got him to laugh, it was great. It's that type of thing.
No, I,
Like I feel like Archie's sort of the same way.
I think Archie is the greatest TV character of all time. And
I
you
think
can,
I think he's one of the most influential.
I think I think that's where it is, because he's just so, like I said, if you ever to fully understand it, like if you just watch one episode, you're like, this guy's a racist bigot. But then if you watch the whole series, you start to understand where this Norman Lear character is coming from. Um, Two of my favorite shows that I've kind of gone back and rewatched, stuff that I've watched as reruns as a kid, but didn't quite understand, is All in the Family and the Jeffersons.
Yeah.
I think that they're just absolutely amazing with the writing and everything else. I love Archie Bunker and I love George Jefferson. I still want my George Jefferson "Shut Up Honky" T-shirt.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is,
I would probably wear that. I'm a big Jefferson guy. I
I
watched the heck out of that growing up.
yeah, but
All right. Yeah. So we both still liked it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Well,
gave it lower because I think the other ones that we're gonna look at,
I think we're in stronger than we started,
yes,
which I
yeah,
like. Well, let's go to the first Savage brother. Let's let's get Savage here.
yeah. Oh, I cannot wait because we've talked about doing like a Savage month or Savage
Yeah.
week or
Yeah.
2 weeks or something. Let's get Savage.
Let's get Savage. Boy Meets World, Turkey Day is the name of the episode. The gist of this is Corey and Sean have been best friends forever, but they're the old story where they're both from different sides of the tracks, literally.
Yeah.
The Matthews are like a higher middle class family, which is really wild considering that the dad like works at a grocery store.
How much does he make?
He's like a manager at the grocery store, and I'm blanking on what she does. The mom, she does something.
Does she work? I always thought she was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. They don't talk about it very much, but she does work. But they have a really nice house compared to the fact that the Hunters, Sean's family, is in a trailer park, right? And this is sort of an episode about the classes, because Sean and Corey want their families to have Thanksgiving dinner together, and that's where all the hilarity ensues. There's two different classes kind of coming together, and the being quote unquote two different people. You get all kinds of really good stuff in this. I have a lot of nostalgia for this episode. I spoiler alert, really loved it. I got it. This is one of the first ones that made me a little misty eyed at the end when all the because the ending is just a beautiful ending to an episode, kind of a perfect Thanksgiving episode you want here, where everybody gets together and realizes, hey, these differences shouldn't really matter in the end when we can all get together and be friends and eat at the dinner table together. I loved it. So what'd you think?
Amy Matthews worked as a real estate agent in
That's
the
it,
early
yep.
years, and then later an art gallery worker.
And by the way, they apparently had saved up so much money that they would eventually buy their own store.
Is
And
that what
run
they?
it.
That's I don't like this Savage thing because at the end of the Wonder Years, the father buys a furniture factory.
That's what I was just
I'm like, what the? And they're pretty much the same things, but in two different time periods.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say though, the Savage brothers can act. Like the big kid actors, they're both very good.
yes. So mine was some things that I noticed. Okay. Uh, why do the hunters have a picture of a Greyhound bus in their house?
All right, so there's a running gag in Boy Meets World
Okay.
where if you look at the background on some of the scenes, there'll just be a random picture of something random.
Okay.
Famously in Corey's bedroom, there's a poster of celery, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's just a piece of celery.
I'm starting as I get older. I look more at like backgrounds as
Yeah.
things. And I'm like, is that a Greyhound bus? And the new Morgan, she sucks. I do not like the new Morgan.
Well, you don't get a lot of Morgan anyway throughout the show. She's sort of just kind of there in the background mostly.
I like the
We get some Ethan, the guy from My Name Is Earl, the big guy. Ethan, I can't remember his last name.
Ethan.
But he's awesome. He was in
Surpley.
Remember the Titans. Yeah,
Surpley.
He's in Remember the Titans. He was awesome in it, and he's great in this.
Mara.
He's awesome on this show. You know who his dad is, of course, on the show.
It's time.
That's right.
It's time. It's Vader. Time.
Yeah.
Where's the other? Okay. So this trailer park that they live in
Yeah.
reminds me if they went to one of our friends and said, "Make me a trailer park."
It's very cliche.
You get who
Yeah.
I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
When I was looking at it, I was like, was this set design by somebody that I know?
I do love the gag where the hunters live right next to the hunters.
Yes, I do like that one. But I think the trailer park was a little bit over the top because they're not even trailers. Like I've had friends that lived in trailer parks.
Yeah.
And they were nice. These
Yes.
were just straight campers. Like
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. These are really trailers. I guess technically they are trailers,
they
but they're not
are-
mobile homes, is what we think of as a trailer park.
Yeah. Like I've seen, like I said, I've had friends that lived in trailer park.
Also, the inside was so much larger than the outside.
Yes, there was a lot of Megatron action going on in this one.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was I thought it was a great episode showing that, two people can be friends if they because these kids are not looking at the wealth of each other, but more of the friendship, where the adults were the ones worried about
Exactly.
how can I look, or the Matthews were kind of looking down on the hunters because, the plastic forks. There's nothing wrong with a good plastic fork.
No, I love a
Or
good
bag,
plastic fork.
or a bag of forks, deal with it.
Yeah.
But
as long as a bag in case you break one.
I just found it weird that the Trailer Park Association were rising up against
Yes.
the Matthews. Like they had an elder. Like
Yes.
like I
The
said,
elder was my favorite. I really
like
liked him.
they literally had an elder. Like this show was good if you peel back some of the silliness things, like the elder, like they could have the elder coming out and he has spoken type
Yes.
deal. Okay, but other than looking at two people from two different backgrounds being friends, but then the adults are too stubborn to look at how silly they're being.
They're
and
more
just
focused on how
another thing.
different they are than anything else. That's the
Yes.
big focus. Yeah.
So again, get into common. Like I said before, I'm not gonna hate Johnny because he thinks Back at Me is a great movie because we have many other things in common.
That's right. That's right. But I love this as an A+ for me.
Yeah, I'll give it I'm trying to give a different grade for each one. But yeah, I think it's an A. It's an A for me.
Very, very good. Well, let's go from one savage bro to another savage bro.
It loses out because of the trailer park elder.
Oh, see, I disagree. I love when they'll throw in a really dumb gag like that.
like, I
But that's my sense of humor, so that works.
yeah,
for me.
like I was just so like into the difference, and then all of a sudden they
Yeah.
were like the elder. And why
Well,
was
this is a show.
Vader at Survivor Series? Because Frankie and his brother had to do Thanksgiving to look like by themselves.
I would bet so, because even on the show he's a wrestler. So,
Yeah. So I think
he's a WWF wrestler, I believe.
yeah, he's probably at the
Yeah,
good old Survivor Series
I
show.
bet you're right. Yeah, gotta be. But this show famously would have very, like, out of nowhere, deep, dark episodes that really would tackle things that a lot of younger sitcoms wouldn't dare try even touch.
Yeah.
They would do that. I think it's one of the shows that sticks out to me. This is one of my favorite shows growing up ever. So
I like Boy Meets World. Here's another here. Okay, so our next one is The Wonder Years,
that's right. Yeah.
The Ties That Bind. The Wonder Years is an amazing episode, or the amazing series. So the Arnold,
What would you do if I sang out of? I mean, what a classic song to open up your show.
you are singing out of tune, so I'd sit here and listen to
yeah,
it. I wouldn't stop you. I wouldn't be a Brian Last to you in that aspect. But the Arnold household is getting a little tight on money, and I understand this. As kids get older, more expensive things happen. Things break down, and the stove broke down, and they need to figure out how to get a new one because it cannot be repaired, even though good old Jack's like, I'm gonna get my toolbox, and the repairman's like, well, I love this too because Norma's like, nah, I don't think your toolbox is gonna fix it this time, Jack.
yeah.
So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna go in there and ask for a raise.
You know, another connection I just realized we had with these Savage Brother shows is both dads on both shows are incredible dads.
Yes, Jack's better, but we know.
Jack, I don't like to say which one's better because I think they're both really awesome.
I feel for Jack because I think
In this episode especially, like, I think we can all relate to the fact when one thing goes wrong, like a bunch of things seem to go wrong and pile on, and you feel like you're trying to get your head above water, type of thing.
Yeah,
which is sort of what's happening here.
So he goes and he asks for a raise. Surprise, surprise. He gets a raise, Johnny, but he gets a promotion to some wacky thing. But he's going to have to go on the road more. So all of a sudden that night, he's got to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he realizes that he probably will not be home for Thanksgiving for the first time.
By the way, Pittsburgh is near where I think the Matthews supposedly live.
It's on the other side.
They're definitely in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Philadelphia's on the west coast and Pittsburgh's the east.
Oh, I think there's a very famous episode where Topanga and her family are supposed to move, and I think they're moving to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
but then she shows up. Yeah,
it's like
By the way, Topanga, when I was growing up,
it would be almost like say Niagara Falls to New York City. So I don't think it's like that 8 hours, but it's like a 6 hour. It's got to be a minimum of 6 to 7 hour drive to get across Pennsylvania.
It's like me going to the beach. It's like a 5 hour drive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't you like that far away from like Wilmington and stuff? Because I remember Wilmington being like the big beach place when I was in good old Jacksonville, North Carolina. But then all of a sudden, Thanksgiving dinner is about to happen. And this was another gun-scratching part too. So the mother makes the whole dinner and everything else, puts the turkey on the table, and Kevin even says she wouldn't sit down. And all of a sudden she's standing there sitting at the table. And then Kevin goes, Mom, who's going to carve?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just those little things like that.
Because since he had taken that promotion and he had to travel, he actually called her, was like, I won't be able to make it home for Thanksgiving, basically.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I can't remember if she gets a phone call or the phone rings and it's the father. And she says, "Get your coat. We're going to the airport." And Kevin's like, "Oh, is dad going to be home for Thanksgiving?" She's like, "No, he flew in just for an hour." And Kevin goes, "I thought it was going to be too expensive," because that was the whole thing, that him flying back for this time at Thanksgiving was going to be too expensive. And she goes, "I thought so too." But then they meet up at the airport and they have
Well, the
a little
moment that got
time.
me was the moment that got me is uh, when he goes, but I thought that was just it was going to cost too much, and the mom's like, yeah, but she has like a little smile starting to form,
Yeah.
right? Like that moment really hit me, like, oh man, because just the importance of, yeah, that's expensive, but like he still loves everyone, he loves his family enough that he's going to do it anyway.
Yeah. And that, because that was like the whole thing, like even with that, Karen wanted, the oldest was like, "Oh, I need stuff before I go back to school." And
Including a yoga mat,
yeah, I know who there was yoga in the 70s. Uh,
probably.
and then Wayne wants something. I hate Wayne. Oh, I hate Wayne with a passion.
He's a complete jerk. Yeah,
I hate,
like
oh,
over the top. He's an over the top jerk.
the worst episode is that one where, uh, with the hamster, and he sucks up the hamster that was supposed to be for Kevin and Paul's science project, and
Oh yeah,
he
yeah,
ruins
yeah.
it because the girl turned him down. Uh, but
She probably turned him down because he's a butthead.
yeah, he's always played that. He played that the in Pee Wee's Big Adventure too.
Yep.
Him and Eric Bischoff were the ones that were going to get WCW.
What?
Yeah, like this guy, like the guy that plays Wayne is like a
Yeah.
big like producer, and he works with
Oh yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Bischoff on things. Like that's what he does now.
Yeah. All
Like
right.
if you watch old WCWs, he's in on that too.
That's what I'm talking about.
So there you go. Uh so my little notes for this one was stuffing cheap, like we went over. Kids get older, things get more expensive, and stuff does not stop breaking. And the thing with the job and the traveling is, yes, he made more money, but yes, he's going to travel more. And there's always a trade-off.
Yeah.
There's always a trade-off. And I like it when Paul is talking to Kevin and he's like, "Your dad must be having a blast, going from airport, going to city to city." Uh, I've never really had to like travel, but I did travel for work. And after a while, like the first work trip was fun because I kind of got away. The second one, like after that, they get
There's just
real.
something about being able to sleep in your own bed at night.
Yeah, they get real
Yeah.
crappy. My wife travels not a ton, but she'll travel for work, and even she hates it. And she like flies places.
Yeah.
And she can't. She even says like, "Oh, now I gotta go to the airport. I gotta pack this," and
It's just so much involved with it. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not as great as what it seems to be. This is an A plus.
I agree. A+ for me as well. This is just a great Thanksgiving episode of any TV show. This is like the quintessential one you would think of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our final one.
We're in the big Simpsons season 2, Bart versus Thanksgiving.
Yes. This is such an iconic episode.
This is the first thing I thought of when we were doing TV when we thought of this idea.
Yeah, this was one of my first ones too. And I feel the Simpsons are the reverse of how I feel about South Park. Like the
I think
older
most people are with
episodes
you there. Yeah. That's been the running gag with Simpsons anyway. The first, 5 or 6 seasons are strong, and then everything else is kind of falls from there.
yeah, I don't even know when I stopped watching. Like I would think about going back and watching them, but then I'm like, I don't even know when I kind of just was like, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
But pretty much they're having. Oh, I'll let you.
Oh, well, we both can tag team this, as this is both our episodes. But the gist of it is, it's Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So Marge is making the Thanksgiving dinner. Her sisters come over, and you know how Homer feels about them, and how they feel about Homer. Her
They
mom
love
comes
each other.
over. Yeah, her mom comes over and she's the absolute worst. She is beyond hateable, but very funny in how hateable she is. Because she has laryngitis, but everything she says is like the most dickish thing you could say.
Yeah, like I have laryngitis. Her first thing she says is, "I have laryngitis. It's hard for me to talk." So let me just say, you've never done anything right.
Yes. what a B word.
Yeah.
And of course, Homer's gonna go get his dad and brings his dad. There's a really fun gag at the beginning that I really loved where they're watching the very famous Thanksgiving parade. And they're talking about the balloons and all the balloons Bart didn't recognize because they're from before his generation. And then as they're talking, they're like, well, they don't want some sellout. And then in the background, you look and there's a Bart Simpson balloon.
I love it when they go pick up Grandpa Simpson and the guy's reading off. He's like, here's a list of our residents and family members wishing them well and wish they could be here today with them. And then he's like just reading off of facts. And then out of nowhere, he gets one more and he says the one lady's name. And she goes, "Oh, I knew they wouldn't forget about me."
Yes.
Yeah. Newsflash. They forgot about you. Like that
yeah.
just shows you how it is in some of these places, like in a nursing home or something. This leave them there.
Yeah. Dump them off. Somebody else's problem.
But Lisa is making a centerpiece for the dinner table.
Put a lot of work into it.
Yes. And Bart reminds me. So as I rewatch this as a parent, I like Bart is exactly how one of my kids would be. Like when he asked Marge, is there anything he could help him with? Because he's in the kitchen just getting in the way. And it was like the cranberry sauce.
And all you got to do is literally open it to put the sauce in the bowl. And she
Marge,
has to do everything.
Yeah. And then he leaves it there instead of, then even she's like, "Bart, can you put it in the fridge?" And he just walks away.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he's just underfoot the whole entire time for everybody.
Yeah.
But Lisa shows her centerpiece and then the turkey comes and
Bart's bringing the turkey.
Yep.
And and instead of just like putting it next to the centerpiece, which you certainly could have, he decides that he got to get rid of the centerpiece. So him and Lisa are tugging back and forth over it, and it ends up in the fire and catches fire.
I love that part because Grandpa Simpson was like, "Ooh, that got that going," because they were trying to start a fire before.
Yeah.
And he didn't even care. It was just, well, that got that going.
But this is where the episode kind of gets real in that Lisa, obviously very hurt by it, but she's even more hurt by the fact that she could tell that her brother doesn't even care that he did that.
No.
Like that, which I understand completely. Like when you're close to somebody and they've hurt you, that's one thing. But then when you find out that they seemingly don't even care that they hurt you, that's like a double-edged sword. They're just stabbing you twice in the back, basically. And so she goes up crying to her room, and everybody, deservedly, by the way, yells at Bart.
Yes.
Because he did. I mean, I know it's a harsh thing to say to a 10-year-old or 8-year-old, however old he is supposed to be, but he did ruin Thanksgiving.
Do you know what that scene reminded me of? It reminded me of Home Alone.
Yes.
Like they're all yelling at Kevin.
Yeah.
Like that was, I don't know why, but my mind went right to Home Alone at that part where it was just everything is.
Yeah, because one of my notes really says it really was Bart's fault.
It was.
It was completely Bart's
And in the
fault.
beginning when they're fighting about the glue.
Yeah.
The territorial thing, because Lisa wanted the glue, so that means Bart wanted the glue.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
He goes, prove it. Well, here, you can have the glue. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly. I watched my kids fight over a broken toy. So my son Steven, we had a birthday party for him. And then there was a bunch of leftover favors. And then there was like these stupid like Nerf like rocket things, but it was like a slingshot and you pulled back and then it would slingshot. So we had like 2 or 3 of these perfectly good on top of our refrigerator. But my 2 sons were fighting about the one that was broken. Instead of just saying, you can have the broken one, Dad, can I have a good one? No, they fought tooth and nail for the broken one.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's just something about your sibling getting something that you're not getting.
oh, it still happens. Like on
Yeah.
my computer, my oldest son wanted to play Fortnite on my computer. So he did good in school. So I said, here you go. You can play Fortnite on my computer. Then all of a sudden, the boy that lives down the hall, my youngest son, he he's like, oh, well, I want to play on your computer too. And I'm like, okay, well, once you do good in school, you could do it. And then I was asking, I was like, oh, do you like playing on my computer because it's a better like frame rate or something like that? He's like, no, I just did because Steven did it. And I'm like, mother. But
Yeah.
yeah. Uh
But Bart runs away.
yes, with Santa's little helper, because Santa the little helper get kicked out. And I got a funny
Yeah.
story that reminded me of this too when we're done with it. But yeah, they run away and he tries to steal a pie cooling on Mr. Burns's windowsill.
Yeah.
That was great too, the Mr. Burns, where he was like, oh, I could not eat another
He
piece.
literally takes one bite of small piece of turkey.
Yes. And
Takes
he
one bite. He goes, and he can tell Smithers, throw the rest of this out. And it pans over, and that table, it's a giant table. It just filled to the brim with food.
it's got a turkey, a ham, it's got everything. But he wanders into first he sells his blood to get money.
It passes out afterwards.
Yep, passes out because I guess he uses Homer's idea. That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Now, how much did he
They
get
don't
for
show you.
How much did he get for selling his blood, Andrew?
Like $12.99.
$12. He got $12 total and a cookie, which Santa's little helper would eat because he passed out before Bart passed out before he could eat it.
Then so he goes into like a city mission kind of homeless shelter because he meets a couple of like a homeless guy.
The couple homeless guys find him as he's passed out, and they help him out.
And then they get him some dinner. Kent Brockman's there, doing his fluff piece to try and get himself looking better with an Emmy. And then the family sees him on TV and they call the police as well. And did you notice that the cops' voices are switched in the early seasons?
Yeah. There's little things you'll notice in Simpsons if you keep watching it like that. Yeah.
Bart later returns home and he's feeling remorse. And after lending the couple of beggars full of money, climbs. He contemplates because he goes in the house and then he makes it where everybody's missing him, and then all of a sudden it's like then they get on him because I think he didn't apologize to Lisa good enough in his mind. So then it kind of reminded me as a kid where you just overreact to everything.
And he gets on the roof instead.
Yep, gets on the roof, ponders his choices, play some football. That's a little dangerous. But when he hears Lisa crying because she misses him, Bart invites her to join him on the roof. He finally realizes what he did hurt her deeply and apologizes as Homer and Marge watch.
It's a very good scene where Bart kind of realized, because he even says before he finally realizes that he had hurt his sister, he's like, I don't even know why I do these things.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't care. Like he's actually having some inner thought about himself. And I got a little misty eyed even though I'd seen this a million times, when Homer is like, he's standing on the toilet, so look out the window, listening to him, and looks at Marge, goes, we're pretty good parents. I loved it.
I've had those moments.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? And then all of a sudden something happens. But yeah, this is an A+. I put this up with the Wonder Years episode where
A+. Yep, agreed.
It got a little bit better. You could probably be like, oh, Andrew, but the Boy Meets World one, that was so. There was a trailer park elder.
Yeah. Look, I grew up in a trailer. There should be an elder.
I've never seen it. I've seen every trailer park I've been to, where I visited a friend or something.
Well, they don't come out all the time.
Has been like every other neighborhood that I remember growing
It's
up.
got to be a special occasion for the elder of the trailer park to show up.
Is
They
that
don't just show up
why-
willy nilly.
Is that why I've never seen one?
Yeah, they're very
Okay.
rare. Their appearances are very rare.
For the trailer park, I want to Google trailer park elder.
I'm afraid of what you'll get.
My search history is good. It's like,
Yeah, yours is so convoluted anyway. You might as well go ahead and do it.
yeah. Trailer park elder.
I always get this feeling I'm going to get a call from prison, and it's going to be Andrew. Be like, "Hey," and I'll be like, "What happened?" They found my search history. They don't believe me that I did it all for the show.
So you know how Google does the AI overview thing now?
Yeah.
It says a trailer park, and then in quotes, trailer park elder refers to an old person who lives in a mobile home park.
Trailer Park Elder. But everybody listens to them.
There's many different pictures, but that is it. If you had to rank these, go 1 through 5, what would you do?
I'm going to start with, I liked all of these, just for the record. But I'm going to rank them from least to the best.
Yeah.
But I still think all these are top tier. I think South Park is least.
Yeah.
We'll start there.
I agree.
Then I'm gonna go All in the Family. Then I'm gonna go Wonder Years. Then I'm gonna go. This is where it gets tough because I feel like both these are equal to me. I think I'll go Simpsons, then Boy Meets World, but it's very, very close with those two for me. And honestly, that Wonder Years episode, I forgot how much I liked it. It's those top 3 for me are so close.
Even
ranking them is a little tough.
Even when we did that Christmas episode, Wonder Years is amazing. Mine is Lee, Starvin' Marvin. 4 is All in the Family. 3 is Turkey Day, is Boy Meets World. Simpsons is 2, and then Wonder Years is number 1.
Yeah. But I don't think you can go wrong with it, with especially those top 3.
Yeah, those were all great ones. Like
Yeah.
the most
Top tier.
realistic one, like you said, is probably All in the Family.
All right. Well, that's this episode. We thank y'all for listening.
Yep.
Make sure you go to our social medias on Facebook and on Instagram, the Nostalgia Funhouse. Andrew does a phenomenal job keeping those up to date. Always doing some pretty fascinating posts, this day in history and pop culture type things. So make sure you go check those out.
And with that being said,
What? Nope. What are we doing next week?
let me make sure it's still showing. Because Johnny has never seen this movie, and I am
Oh God, we're doing it. Okay.
I'm literally shocked that we have never
Oh dear.
that
I
we
know
have
what this is
that
now.
you have never seen it. Like even Brian, like I messaged Brian, okay, and I was like, Johnny has never seen.
I not only had not seen it, I'd never heard of it.
Yes, and he even said he's like, oh yeah, we're doing Curly Sue.
We're going to watch Curly Sue me for the first time. I am looking forward to it just because this is apparently one of my favorite actors, Steve Carell's, like one of his first acting roles was in this.
We also have Jim Belushi, Ralph Foodley, who is known as the Home Alone gangster. In the movie, he plays a drifter in this. So I can't believe you've never seen this movie. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, do a Thanksgiving movie, but I really feel like we need to do this. I promise you watch this and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, if it's streaming next year, we'll do that. Because I really feel like you need to see this, and I have a feeling it's gonna go away really quick from streaming. This was a huge movie. It debuted number 2 in the box office.
What year did it come out?
91.
What was beating it? Do you know?
Michael Jackson.
I've never been more proud of you than I am right now at this moment.
I have no idea. What was 90?
Oh man.
Ugh.
As he looks this up for me. I'm just curious what beat it at the box office. I'm trying to think what the big movies of '91 were. I wasn't even 10 years old.
Oh,
so.
Terminator 2: The Judgment Day.
Oh, well, that was it. That was a huge movie. That was a kid's movie. That's what
It is a kid's movie. I was never okay. So with that one, my dad had a fire in his house because he owned a duplex, and the people upstairs started a fire, and his kitchen got ruined because it was like a grease fire that was started in the upstairs kitchen. So he lived in a hotel. So that's where I spent my weekends. And then he rented Terminator 2 from the hotel in the hotel room. And it was like the most amazing thing in the world.
Yes, that movie's so freaking good.
We went swimming first, and then we got to watch Terminator 2. And that was the first time I ever seen a Terminator movie. And,
yeah, I saw 2 before the first one as well.
And then he rented the first one for me.
Yeah, the first one's good, but the second one is just stellar.
My parents like, renting us good children's movies.
Yeah, as good parents do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Appreciate all of y'all. Well, apparently for Thanksgiving, I went up to watch Curly Sue.
You're gonna love it, Johnny. You're gonna love this movie. It's the best. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite child. I don't know if it still stands up. I had my kids watch it probably about 5 years ago, maybe even a little bit more. But I thought it was still good. I thought it was good.
I'm just curious if we're gonna have like a Mac and Me situation here, but reverse.
Yeah, but then again, I was going in hard for Starving Marvin. Like, yeah, this sounds like a good. And then I started watching it, and I was like, I think I'm gonna play on my phone for a little bit. Like, it's just the same. I just felt like I said it was worn out gags. Like, if I rewatch the Pella Show, I skip over the Rick James one.
Yeah,
I don't like it anymore. But that is it, and with that being said, what may not be nostalgia for you may be nostalgia for some.